that you're going to join me in reading one of my favorite Christmas stories, The Year Without a Santa Claus. It was written by Phyllis McGinley and illustrated by John Manders. Are you ready? I am. Have you ever been told, did you ever hear, of the curious, furious, fidgety year when Santa Claus unhitched his sleigh and vowed he was taking a holiday? How did it happen? This way. It was long ago before you were living, not yet Christmas, but past Thanksgiving, though I can't give you the very date. Santa got up that morning late, pulled on one boot, then its twin, ruffled his whiskers on his chin. He sat back down on the side of the bed. Great North Star, but I'm tired, he said. Painting wagons red and bright, sharpening ice skates half the night, wrapping presents in ribbon and gauze. He's worn me weary, said Santa Claus. A crick in my back, a cold in my nose, aches in my fingers and all 10 toes, and a sort of a kind of a kink inside whenever I think of that Christmas ride. Into his workroom limped the saint. He sniffed the varnish, he smelled the paint, and a reeling feeling came over him, stealing to see things crammed from floor to ceiling. Rocking horses with shaggy manes, balls, dolls, electric trains, gloves, mitts, doctor's kits, rubber boots, cowboy suits, kites for flying in parks, bicycles and Noah's Arks. And he started to shake and he started to shiver and thought of the load he must deliver. And he sighed, oh dear, as he buttoned his vest. I wish one year I could take a rest. When the words were out, he stood stock still, and then he whispered, I think I will. I will, he cried, his eyes ablaze. Everyone else gets holidays. Sailors and tailors and cooks do, policemen and writers of books do, tamers of lions and leopards, preachers and teachers and shepherds, watchmen and Scotchmen, Spaniards and Turks, butchers and bakers and grocery clerks. They take time off as Christmas nears, all except me, so it appears. That saint or not, it's time I got my first vacation in 1,000 years. Out in the stable, nuzzling hay, the reindeer dreamed of Christmas Day. But Santa phoned to the reindeer groom, hang up the harness in the big storeroom. He called his elves, he told each gnome, cover up the shelves, we're staying home. What? Cover the shelf, cried the gnomes and the elves. Cover the dolls and electric trains, and the rocking horses with the shaggy manes, and the rubber boots for splashing in parks, and the cowboy suits, and the Noah's Arks. Alas, alack, they couldn't believe he wouldn't go riding on Christmas Eve. Put 'em away, roared Santa vexed. This year's presents will wait for next. Warn the people, tell the papers, I'm much too tired for Christmas capers. There's a crick in my back and a cold that lingers, aches in my toes and all 10 fingers, a bit of lumbago, a touch of the gout. Climbing down chimneys is simply out. I may be the saint of the children's nation, but this is the year for my first vacation. Well, you can imagine more or less what happened when that news reached the press. Headlines were screaming, wires went humming, Santa's too tired, he's not coming. And as the word flashed far and wide, you should have heard how the children cried. So violently they sobbed their griefs, the shop ran out of handkerchiefs. Their tears filled up the kitchen sinks and cellars and empty skating rinks. They wept in school, at play they wept. They dampened their pillows while they slept. Before those darlings' eyes got drier, all the rivers rose 3 feet higher. And I don't know what would have happened quite, except for Ignatius Thistlewhite. Ignatius Thistlewhite was a boy in Texas, or was it Illinois? 6 years old, but brave for his years. He sobbed no sob, he wept no tears. But he stood tall in his class to say, Santa deserves a holiday. No, 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 came the children's plaint. What is Christmas without our saint? Shucks now, fellas. Gosh, good gracious. Christmas is Christmas, cried Ignatius. And everyone tells me who I've met it's a day to give as well as to get. Since all of these years in the children's cause, Santa's been giving without one pause. Let's pull together in this Christmas weather and give this year to Santa Claus. Hooray, said a classmate. He's right. 3 cheers for Ignatius Thistlewhite. Fast as a hurricane, children hurled that happy message around the world. Over each continent, isle, and isthmus, let's give Santa a Merry Christmas. With snow, the earth was already whitening, but they rolled up their sleeves and worked like lightning. They opened their piggy banks, racked their brains. They chartered buses and special trains, and ships and sledges and hydroplanes. To reach the North Pole by the 24th was their goal. East, south, west, north came gifts and gifts and gifts to spare from clever children everywhere. Slippers with zippers to zip on, soap for his bath to slip on, geraniums pink in a pot, one guppy a puppy named Spot, balsam pillows, strawberry jam, dressing gowns with his monogram, 10 harmonicas for him to play on, hand-painted pictures done in crayon, mufflers, pipes, an easy chair, and lots of winter underwear. In New York State, a boy called Pudge cooked him a plate of homemade fudge, and little girl guides of Britain each made him a scarlet mitten, while a boy in Siam sent a Siamese kitten. They sent him lemon drops by the carton, ashtrays modeled in kindergarten, jackknives, pen wipers, cakes and crullers, and magic pencils that wrote 3 colors. Tots who hadn't a penny to spend wrote him letters and signed it a friend. And they had more fun that strange December, they said, than any they could remember. Up at the pole in the fragrant hay, the idle reindeer dreamed at play. Comet nickered for oats and corn, Dancer brandished his velvet horn, while sadly, sorrowly lounged at home each idle elf and gnome. Santa sat poking the fire and blinking, but nobody knew what he was thinking. Then suddenly from the sky there came a sound of planes. He heard the hoot and the cry of ships and special trains. Noel, tooted the sledges. Honk, the buses cried, and out of his study window Santa put his head. He looked to the left, he looked to the right. He didn't trust his own eyesight. So many, so merry, so more and more packages were rolling to his front door. Smack at his doorsill they thundered, 1,000,000, 1,000, 100. Flat ones and fat ones, lean ones, crimson and silver and green ones, broad ones and odd ones, plain ones, romantic ones, little and big and great gigantic ones. Parcels from London, Rome, and Atlanta, and each one addressed to Santa. Atop them all a banner glinted, where Ignatius Thistlewhite had printed these words: Good luck and holiday mirth from all of the children upon the earth. With toots and hoots and honks light-hearted, the buses turned, the trains departed, leaving the saints surrounded by parcels piled to the polar sky. Santa was silent for a minute. His eyes looked bright, but a tear stood in it. Then he blew his nose like a trumpet blast. God bless my soul, he said at last. By the big borealis, by the maps and charts, I didn't know children had such kind hearts. How could a man feel gladder and prouder? He turned to his staff as his voice got louder. Gnomes, elves, every mother's son, don't stand there staring, there's work to be done. Bring in the barrels, fetch the boxes, carry in those packages, and don't break one. Where to put them? There was no space in the parlor or study or any place. They overflowed bureau, couch, and table, filled the house, the sheds, the stable, slid from the mantels, jammed the casement, bulged from the attic, they burst from the basement. There's nothing to do, exclaimed the elves, except to empty some workshop shelves. Off of the shelves then Santa's forces whisked the painted rocking horses. When the presents wouldn't fit, down came the kite and doctor's kit. Still there wasn't room for all, so away went basketball, cowboy suit, rubber boot, bicycle, and talking doll. Till by the time the twilight reigned, not a single toy on the shelves remained. All were sacked and packed away, in the one place left, the Christmas sleigh. Then Santa gazed from floor to rafter and gave his mightiest shout of laughter. He laughed ho-hos and laughed ha-has. What a joke, he chortled, on Santa Claus. You might as well phone the reindeer groom, take down the harness in the big storeroom, get my gloves, the robe for my lap, and my coat and my warmest stocking cap. There sits the sleigh with the toys inside, so what can I do but tonight but ride? What about your gout? The gnomes cried out. What about your aches and the crick in your spine? Pooh, laughed Santa, my back feels fine. Never felt younger, never felt stronger. Haven't got a symptom any longer. And before the midnight bells go chiming, I'd like to do some chimney climbing. So harness the reindeer, let 'em rip. It's time to begin my favorite trip. With a flurry and a scurry and a chatter and a hurry, they bought him his cap and his lap robe furry. They roused up Cupid, they rubbed down Vixen, they polished the bells on Donner and Blitzen. There were cheers from the gnome, from the elves' applause. Then off through the night flew Santa Claus. And I've heard the old people often say that never was there such a Christmas day, never such joy after Santa swirled from rooftop to rooftop around the world, while at the home of a sleepy boy in Texas, or was it Illinois, a special letter was left that night, addressed to Ignatius Thistlewhite. It was clipped to the handlebars like a medal of the best two-wheeler a boy could pedal. Dear Sir, was written in Santa's hand, please thank the children in every land. Tell them I'll take good care, I hope, of the guppy, the puppy, and the slippery soap. I like my pipes, I love my chair, and I even appreciate the underwear. And I pledge this promise on my sled and pack. Year after year, I'll keep coming back. Vacations, I guess, weren't meant for me. I'll never want another one. Yours, SC. And that's one reason you may believe why children are merry on Christmas Eve. You know yourself as you hang your stocking. It doesn't matter if the winds are knocking. Through the storm falls heavy, through the great gale roars. Though nobody else would budge outdoors, snug in your bed while the tempest drums, you can count your blessings on fingers and thumbs. For yearly, newly, faithfully, truly, somehow Santa Claus always comes. So just know, kids, this year Santa's already got his list and he's already ready to pack his sleigh and make his way to Woodland Park and Totowa and Little Falls and all over the world. Santa will be here this year, and I want to wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.